What's good, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Full Circle. I'm your host, as always, Harmon Jr. Please feel free to find me at Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media. So, people, I have a very special guest today. I've been trying to get her on for a while, and I'm honored she found time in her busy schedule to join me. We have Elise Favis, everybody. Woo! Get excited. How are you today, man?
So, it's good to be here. I'm very happy to be here.
That's what's up. You know, you're probably the second most famous gaming Canadian, only second to Jeff Keighley. Just FYI.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot to live up to.
I think you're doing a pretty good job. Pretty good job. So just
I,
in.
I'm glad. I'm just gonna say I'm glad we found time to do this.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I am too. You know, gaming journalism is a beast, and things are always happening. This week is evident of that clearly.
Oh my God, yeah, just all the time, forever.
Yeah. But just in case, Elise, you know, we have some listeners that aren't familiar. Who are you, and what do you do?
Yeah. So I'm the features editor over at Fanbyte, and previously I worked at the Washington Post and Game Informer. And you can find me on Twitter at Elise Favis.
Ooh, that is quite the resume there. You have been quite all over the country covering games. That's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been interesting going from like a magazine to a newspaper to now a website. It's like different. It's not different. It's not just different outlets. It's like different media types as well, which has been interesting.
You know, it's
To say the
really
least.
really impressive that like normally you have to start covering media like in 1982 to have that resume, and you did it like in a decade. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, as always, everybody, we got some great topics for you today. We're going to be talking about the new Assassin's Creed game, which is going to be a live service game, which is, I don't know, I guess that's the future of gaming. That's where we're going, but we're going to talk about that. But before that, we're talking about marketing. No, not marketing for Full Circle Podcast, where you can follow us every Wednesday and Thursday on your favorite podcast services. We're talking about the fun video game marketing that's music videos and products and shows and crazy Twitter things like Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter. Follow him on Twitter if you want to see some great video game marketing. But before all that, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. And at least here on Full Circle, we always say we try our best not to talk about Nintendo every week. But dear God, we talk about Nintendo every week.
It's hard not to. Yeah.
It really is. So, guys, we're talking about the Switch OLED in case you didn't know. But I find it funny that at least the conversation went from, this is what the new Switch is going to be. This is what the new Switch is going to be. The new Switch is going to announce this week. Maybe this week. Maybe this week. The week after this week. And now we finally got it randomly dropped. And this is it.
Yeah. It's interesting because like there were numerous reports out there being like, okay, in 2021 we're gonna see this 4K Switch Pro, and so I think everyone was kind of caught off guard with the announcement of the Switch OLED.
Yeah, first I blame Bloomberg. I'm not trusting Bloomberg no more because they start all these rumors about everything and they get us hyped but all right, let me ask you this. Just pure personal opinion, not journalistic, just pure lease. Were you underwhelmed, disappointed, or surprised by this announcement?
I mean, I guess kind of underwhelmed. I was hoping. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. I was hoping for the for the Switch Pro. I was hoping for a hardware upgrade. I'm not really someone who plays my Switch for graphically intense experiences. I wasn't even that big on Breath of the Wild, which I know is kind of an uncommon take, but yeah. So the OLED screen, even though I play almost primarily in handheld, I just don't feel like it justifies that $50 price jump for me to buy a whole new system that's more expensive than the standard Nintendo Switch. I mean, look, I get that it's gonna make things look pretty, but yeah, I care more about the hardware, so I'm probably gonna just wait because I do think that there is a Switch Pro coming. I don't think those rumors and those reports are necessarily completely wrong. Those sources, especially when it comes to a reputable source like Bloomberg, they're coming from people who from not just reputable reputable journalists, but sources that, you can usually trust.
Yeah, they know what's going on.
So, right. So there's like some insider knowledge there. But I don't know when, like things change, right? And I think there's a lot of, probably a lot of different reasons why we're not having the Switch Pro right now, or maybe, I think, for example, there's the chip shortage that's been happening worldwide. So maybe that's why we're not getting, a hardware upgrade just yet. And I also think like the Nintendo Switch is what trying to think how old it is, but we're probably like midway through that cycle. And Doug Bowser has actually said so. I think to Paul O'Connor was who he talked to about that. He's like, well, we're midway through the cycle. So that means we're still going to see revisions to the console. It's not over yet. Those are just going to come down the line.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I could look in my room right now and see about 6 different DSs stacked atop each other. Some I'm convinced it's the exact same DS, but I'm just lying to myself. But
Yeah, yeah. I like. I mean, I guess it depends who you are, right? Like if you're someone who is a collector of Nintendo items, consoles, then you're obviously gonna get the OLED screen. And if you care about the graphical upgrade, even though it's not like 4K, you're probably gonna get, the Switch OLED.
so,
But
yeah, my thing was I was underwhelmed, but I guess that's my fault and our fault collectively because the rumors were just so stacked at this point that we have been led to believe that whatever the announcement was going to be, it was going to be this, and we all built it up to be a thing. And like you say, it can honestly still be coming. This could have been the plan all along. We're releasing this OLED model, and it's a Xbox Series S, if you will, and we're gonna have our Xbox Series X. Later down the line, they'll be like $100 more.
yeah, well, how do you feel about the price?
You know, okay. Here's my thing. If you haven't got a Switch yet, like you somehow missed the Animal Crossing craze, you didn't get one at launch, I think it's fair. It has a LAN
Sure.
port. It has I don't know the details, but I'm sure it has many quality of life upgrades outside of the better screen, the better sound. So it is better. And $50 isn't a crazy jump when we're talking about a console. In terms of console pricing,
Yeah.
that's not insane.
No, it's not.
But
It's not.
but if you already have a Switch, I feel that's a very hard sell.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. My question is like, does it even address issues like, Joy-Con drift, which I'm assuming it probably doesn't if, it's basically the same thing, just a larger screen.
Yeah, I saw a
Yeah.
report that apparently they are the exact same. The current generation of Joy-Cons that are currently out. I don't know how true that is, but I saw people raging about it on Twitter, so you could take that with a grain of
Yeah.
salt.
Yeah, I saw some of that too. Yeah, that's a bummer. The Joy-Cons just, yeah. I don't know about you, but like a few months in, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need to get some new Joy-Cons again.
So fortunately, I'm in the minority here, I believe, but I play my Switch majority docked, so my Joy-Cons are
Ooh,
fine. But I don't know if that's because I get less mileage out of them since I'm usually using my Pro controller or a GameCube controller if I'm
probably.
playing Smash. So fingers crossed that I'm still gonna be good. But
Yeah.
I did have one of my bumper buttons is cracked. It still works, but it's visibly cracked in the middle. Now
Mm-hmm.
that might be on me because I play Labo extensively, and I let children play with my Labo, and I think that's where some of that might have happened in. But who knows? I'm gonna blame it on Nintendo. Give me a new Joy-Con. You have no proof.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then one of the things I find really interesting about this is one, if we look at Nintendo releases of consoles, this is nothing new. This should be expected. But let's say, okay, you get the OLED model, and then 3 months, 4 or 5 months, let's say within 6 months, we get the Super Nintendo Switch.
Mm.
Which we would all jump for joy, but I wonder the people who buy the OLED model, are they going to feel screwed over somehow?
I mean, they might. But I think if you're holding out for, that's, high-powered Switch to come out, you should hold off on the OLED.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah, because I agree with you. It's a lot of money, first of all. Like, it's not a massive jump, but it's enough. That's, $350. So,
yeah,
yeah, you can't just, the average person can't just shell that out every few months.
yeah, that's quite a few bills for the average person, I imagine.
Totally, totally.
Okay, so it's tinfoil hat time. I need you to rock with me at least, just real quick.
Okay. All right, I've got my tinfoil hat on.
All right, so we got the OLED model, right? Which is basically just improvement for a handheld mode. I mean, the dock comes with a LAN cable, but I mean, Nintendo Online probably will still be garbage. Sorry, Nintendo, it's just the truth. LAN or no LAN. So I was thinking, what if this is the upgrade for a handheld only, and what we're gonna end up getting is dock mode only, which is really gonna be like the 4K switch that doesn't switch. I don't know what they're gonna call it. Maybe like the non-switch switch.
The non-switch, the unswitcher.
Yes, there you go. The unswitcher. So
that would be terrible. I would not be a fan of that.
I wouldn't either, but that's my 10. We're gonna get a Switch that's 4K. Not PS5, Xbox Series XS power, but maybe like a half step up from maybe like PS4 technology or right at PS4, if you will.
Mm.
And it's not gonna be able to be undocked, and it will have a name like the unswitch, the dock switch, the non-switch.
Oh my god.
All right, we can take our tinfoil hats off, but yes, that's what I think is gonna happen. I don't know what they're gonna name it. It would probably be horrible, but it's gonna be one of those things. It's so bad, it's good. Like, it's so unbelievable to do such a thing that's I don't know. That's just gonna happen.
That would be an interesting choice because it goes very much against what the Nintendo Switch is marketed as. That's like its whole. That's its core, is that it's both it's a hybrid console, a home console and a portable console. So I don't know. That would be a very interesting choice.
All right, but see, you think that, but are you ready for me to blow your mind?
Go for it.
What was the 3DS's main selling point, and what did the 3DS turn into?
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, still.
It's like they've already done it, and we bought it.
Done it. Ugh. Yeah, that's true. I can't argue with that.
It was like, hey, we had the DS, now it's the 3DS, the 3D games, the 3D slider, does all this stuff. Hey, now that you like the 3DS, how about all that power, but with no 3D?
To be fair, that was like, I was happy about that on some level because I did not care for the 3D gimmick, but yeah. You make your point. You make a good point.
Yeah, so there goes. Who's the crazy one now, people? Who's the crazy one now? But I don't know. I guess we'll see how that goes. But speaking of craziness, video game marketing has gotten insane recently. Maybe it's always been insane, but now it's just taking it to a new level.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say it, just like with everything else in gaming, Xbox seems to be on top of it all, leading the way. I don't know how they do it. Who's working at Xbox? Who's the genius at Xbox? And where have they been?
Man, that music video that they came out with was like such a joy, but also so incredibly random.
Oh, it was. So in case you somehow missed it, Xbox released a It's All There by All For One. They're a 90s R&B group. If you're not from America, you may not have heard of them, but they're famous enough. They're not Boys to Men. They're different people. Like, I know it's confusing people, but trust me, they're not Boys to Men. They're the people who are not them. And, people at Xbox somehow got them to remix their song. The song goes, I'll Be There, and it's about, being there for your partner and, loving them through the storm. But now it's changed to It's All There, because it's all there on Game Pass. And it was random and insane.
Yeah, you could tell how much thought they put into it, of just like the whole aesthetic of the thing is so 90s with that kind of like blurry, sort of soft focus to the camera, and then even just how the song name and the artist comes up is like very MTV like.
Oh yeah.
So it's great, but it's also it kind of had me wondering like who is this ad for? Because I don't think their you know main demographic anymore is necessarily 90s kids.
You know, so I had an interesting conversation with this about somebody. And
Mm.
it's like in terms of especially game marketing, who who is their target? How do you market to the so-called average gamer? Because when you think of like media, like television and stuff, like it's all about the 90s. The kids born in the 90s are now your mid 30-year-olds, 30-year-olds, maybe closer to 40, and maybe you have your old 20-year-olds, so like your 27, 28, 29. And that's a giant part of the adult population, or the active adult population. So things cater to them. But when it comes to gaming, it's it could be anyone from 6 to 60 essentially.
Yeah, yeah, I mean gaming is huge now, right? So I don't know. I don't know how you incorporate that into marketing. It's a good question.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I was just like, huh, okay, like I like it. It's cool, but like, oh, it's interesting that it's just feeding into that 90s nostalgia as hard as it does.
Yeah. The only conclusion I could come to is that the people in power are just now people born in the 90s, in the same sense how how we get all these love the 80s things because people who are making the content just grew up in that decade and they want us to believe everything in the 80s was wonderful, which I mean it could be.
Yeah.
It might be
It's like
people.
in some ways I feel like 90s has been coming back, especially when it comes to fashion. Like we're
Oh,
seeing a lot of that lately. So maybe it's also feeding into that larger trend too.
oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. And even outside of that, well, since we're talking about Xbox specifically, they've had things like the gamer fridge and all these other
Yes.
components of, you know, they're doing. We live in a world where I think it's interesting where you have to do so many things to stay relevant that aren't necessarily related to your thing. You just have to be in the conversation, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, it's smart. I think it's smart because people I mean, people care about these brands. Like, there's, especially when it comes to like gamers, people have a certain ownership over whether, that's why the whole console wars thing exists, right? So people like the PlayStation brand or the Xbox brand, and it makes sense for it not always to be, gaming related merchandise that you want to buy. So I think like the gamer fridge is just an example of that.
Yeah. And even outside of that, what I find interesting is how you look now, maybe not to us because, we live, eat, breathe gaming, but there's so many other companies now to where they see valuable in the gaming market to where they have to market with gaming. If you think back to how KFC, has their own console and their own game, you know, they poured oodles of money into this, the KFC
Yeah,
console people, if you
it's
remember
wild.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had things like Wendy's had esports meals. They had like they picked five esports people, and it was like how like McDonald's has like their Travis Scott and BTS meals. Wendy's was doing
Mhm.
esports meals by all these people, and I think it's interesting that gaming collectively in the zeitgeist of people is like that seems to be where the people are at, and people are willing to do anything to be in that space.
No, I think you're right. Um, no, it's very interesting to me. Like I think looking back at that music video again from Xbox, is it's also kind of folding games into the larger picture of like pop culture as well. Which I think makes sense too. And I think there's other companies that are doing that. Like I think I am 8-bit is a good example of
Oh,
just treating video games like um, a key part of culture at large and pop culture at large.
oh yeah, definitely. And here I'm gonna ask you something interesting, because when
Okay.
specifically about the music video, people were looking and they were like, "Oh, these famous music artists actually play games." And no, I mean they were like, there's no way, y'all just got a bunch of money, y'all don't, because of All for One state, like, they thought it was really cool, they're into gaming as much as any average gamer out there is into gaming. And I still think it's weird that people, when if any famous person, pop culture icon that's not in the world of gaming goes like, oh yeah, man, I love Last of Us Part 2 and I put like 60 hours in Apex every week, people are like, no you don't. And I'm just like, it's so weird that people are almost, even within gaming, are willing to accept that that no matter where your social status is, that you genuinely can like gaming. Like people think if The Rock goes, I love gaming, they're like, nah, he's just saying that for a commercial.
A very frustrating amount of gatekeeping in the community.
Yeah, and I don't know. It is almost like reverse gatekeeping. Like, you're too cool to genuinely love gaming. I'm like, what sense does that even make?
Yeah, that's I don't know. It's weird. It's weird logic. But I mean, do we know that they play games?
I mean, okay. Ultimately, we don't. But ultimately, right. I mean, can you genuinely look at someone and be like, nah, fam, you know nothing of this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird like preconceived notion that we think we can just, pinpoint who plays games and who doesn't. I mean, it is such a huge, like, gaming is such a big thing now. Everyone does it, like we just said earlier, right? You could be 6 years old or 60 and play games. So no, we can't know. You definitely can't know.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. If I'm being completely honest. I have not judged, but been surprised by the games certain people were into. Not so much that like, oh, I love gaming, but it was like, you love this. Okay, for example, if you remember the talk show Animal Talking, and I learned that Danny Trejo was a huge Animal Crossing fan. That was just surprising.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I didn't know how to respond to that. If you told me he loves gaming, I would be like, sure, yeah, he probably plays a lot of games. If you told me he loves Animal Crossing and like, meticulously designed his own island, I'd be like, all right, I'm judging the book by its cover, I guess. Shame on me. How dare
It's interesting how like massive gaming phenomenons like Animal Crossing or Pokemon Go or whatever it may be kind of bring that out, right? Those surprising moments of, oh wow, like this celebrity is playing this game that I also play. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is they become phenomenons for a reason, is because they have such a far reach in terms of what kind of audiences they can reach.
Yeah. And it's coming, and okay, so I'm just gonna be honest, I just played Mass Effect Trilogy for the first time, as in that was my first experience with Mass. Yeah, loved it. It was great. I get it. Like, the first game was rough, but 2 and 3 were good enough to compete with current games currently out. So that's impressive for like a decade-old game in my mind.
Yeah, I don't know how. You played the Legendary Edition?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. I feel like there are still things that, frankly, that whole trilogy does that I haven't seen other game companies do better, Even certain things with like choice and consequence and building up your team and caring about those crew members, and seeing the world through their eyes, because I feel like Shepard is very much a vessel in which you embody Shepard, but you're very much experiencing the stories of the others around you. But yeah, I don't know. I find that fascinating, and I think that other companies have other RPGs. The Outer Worlds, I think, tries to do the same thing. But yeah, there are a few that do it as well as BioWare.
Oh, most definitely. The things that got me were the interpersonal conversations, and with throwbacks, like in part 3 specifically, whatever reference things that happened in part 1 or part 2, but like with Shepard or amongst the characters themselves. I'm like, wait, that's a situation that wouldn't normally happen in every playthrough. I'm like, how many dialogue options exist within its
Can you imagine the flow chart for that game?
Oh, that's exactly. It's, I thought like Beyond Human, not Beyond Human. What's the robot game?
Oh, you mean Detroit?
Yeah, Detroit Become Human. There we go. Like, I thought the tree spans in that game were like infinitely spawning. But no, Mass Effect like completely overshadows everything I've ever played in terms of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wildly impressive.
It is, and I respect BioWare because apparently they know what the people want. Because I know you saw those body pillows.
Oh my god. I mean, like, yeah, right? Like they are feeding into that, it's kind of funny, to be honest. Like, you have to be aware, you have to be pretty keenly aware of your own fandom. And they are. They are BioWare. BioWare knows what's up.
They do.
Yeah.
It was funny because but going before I played the game, everyone was telling me all about Liara this and Liara that and yada yada yada. And then after playing the game, I was like, Tally is clearly the best girl by like a mile.
I
And
mean, I don't think you're alone on that. I mean, Liara is probably still best girl for me, but like Thane is best boy for me. So it's hard to choose because they're all so good.
they
Like, I love them
really
all.
are. They
Yeah.
they they really are. You know what? This is gonna sound horrible. I don't like Miranda, not because I have anything wrong with her personality or her growth or her character arc, but the human models are just so wonky in Mass Effect that it was just jarring. Like, I don't know how mocap worked back then, but I'm
Hmm.
like, they're always so googly eyed when you talk to another human.
Also, like, you're on a ship filled with aliens. Are you really gonna just like not? I just like you have the chance to romance an alien. Why wouldn't you? Because you can do the human thing in any other game.
I hear what you're saying. I'm
Yeah.
picking up what you're putting down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, how else can what greater way to peace is there than the bedroom?
Yeah, exactly. You get it. You get it. You get it.
And it was weird because I don't know. Maybe it's not weird. Maybe I'm just perfectly normal. But I remember in the first game, I was just like, I don't know why. I really want to talk to Tally. Like, I can't explain it, but it really sucks you can't romance her. And then I
Yeah.
remember, and then in part two, it became an option, and I was like, yes. And at least I got to share this Mass Effect moment with you because it blew my mind. It it made me sweat like a real life confrontation.
Yeah.
So I'm playing
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3, and within like the first hour or whatever, it's like after the opening missions and whatnot, Liara's like, so I heard you hooked up with Tally, so what's up between me and you? I kid you not, like I broke out into a cold sweat. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't know what. So I cheated a little bit. I Googled what would happen, what you said in the option.
Wow.
I did.
Oh wow,
Yes.
damn. You went for it.
I did. I was like, because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know, what was gonna happen in part three, so I didn't want to be like, oh, you don't even meet Tally again. So I was like, do I see Tally again? Okay. If I tell Liara, nah, we good, does what does that mean for me and Tally later? It was like, if you tell her y'all are back on, any love interest with Tally is over. I was like, oh nope, sorry, Liara, nope, just friends. And then she asked me, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, yes."
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so like for me, I just always play as fem shep because I've done some runs as male shep, but like I love Jennifer Hale. I love her voice acting, what she does with, Commander Shepard's character. And like, but that also means that I can't experience all the romances. So I've never romanced Tally. And like, I mean, at this point, I think I see her as a friend anyway, but like, still, I'm curious, and I don't want to be someone who just looks it up on YouTube because it's so much more gratifying to play yourself. But yeah, it's just,
I know.
I just don't like playing as male shep. So
I looked it up because I was like, if I ever do a film ship run, I was like, can you romance Grunt? That seemed like that would be fun, and you can't. I was like, boo, boo.
is he romanceable at all? Because I didn't think he was.
I don't know. He's. Oh, I don't. I mean, he wasn't his male ship, and it said
Uh-huh.
film ship couldn't, so I guess not.
Yeah.
I was highly
Yeah.
disappointed. I was upset.
Yeah.
That,
Just
that,
let us just let us romance everyone, BioWare.
Exactly. You know, I accidentally romanced Jacked and then pissed her off because I didn't realize I was romancing her. I was just trying to be like a good bud.
Uh-oh.
And then it turned into like, so we doing this or not? And I was like, no. And then I locked out every conversation with her from there on in, and I was like, why? Why? I
Oh,
was trying to be a
that's
good person.
that's a pain. It is actually very frustrating how you can reach that point with another character very quickly and easily of just like, I was being nice to you, I wasn't flirting with you, and now you want to date me? Like, what? Where's this coming from? But that's the kind of gamey part of that whole system.
Yeah, and, I guess that makes that feel like real life because you can be like a good bud in real life, and then next thing you know, it's like, so what are we? It's like, whoa.
Here I am just friend zoning everybody.
Yeah, what did John Legend say? Baby, we're just ordinary people. Oh man, I'm sorry, people. If I'm downing any of your love choices, my bad. Apparently people got mad at me because I saved Caden, and people hate Caden. I didn't know this was a thing.
Oh, that sucks. You should be able to save whoever you want. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan of Caden. But I respect your choice.
I like that. Oh, what? You? It's okay that you saved the worst character in the game.
I forgive you.
I didn't know, but so I found out that like most people were like, Ashley grows on you. She's great and stuff, but I didn't realize how much I'm 10 years late to the game. I was just like, man, I need to go back and save Ashley and figure out why people hate Caden so much. I don't know what I missed about that situation, but I was like, man, I almost felt bad.
If I hate Caden, it's more just like I feel a complete indifference towards him. I'm just like, there is nothing interesting about this guy. The more I get to know him, I'm just like rolling my eyes. I'm like, you and Jacob are just utterly boring.
I like how every time you try to defend Caden, it just gets progressively worse about his character.
I know. I don't know if that's, yeah, maybe that's worse, right? Saying someone's painfully boring instead of having a reason to hate them. Like, yeah, that kind of sucks.
Nah, I mean, it's okay because I remember I heard a lot of people complain about, or not complain about Jacob, but being like Jacob was more of the blasé characters. And so I played Mass Effect 2, and I was like, he was cool. I mean, he was just there. I thought he was going to like betray me or something, the way people talked about him. And I was like, no, Jacob is fine.
He's fine. You're back. But the most interesting thing about Jacob is his dad. Like, it's not even him. It's not even about him.
Yeah. And so here's the kicker, though. When I ran into him again in Mass Effect 3, and keep in mind, I'm playing, the new game, so it wasn't years. It was literally like a day for me playing 2 and 3. When I ran into him again in 3, I forgot he was a character. And I was like, wow.
No.
I'm like, how did I forget about you? I was literally like, it's fun seeing everybody again. And it was like, Shepard, oh, hell, I was defending. I was like, oh, yeah, Jacob, yeah. Crap,
yeah,
you are forgettable.
Like he's not that memorable,
So sorry, people. This is the Mass Effect podcast with Odell and Elise. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, just a quick detour there.
So talking about massive RPGs and whatnot, Ubisoft is doing something which honestly maybe become the new industry norm. They're making the new Assassin's Creed game a live service game, and okay. Remember Assassin's Creed Unity? I feel like this is what that was looking to be.
Maybe.
Because Assassin's Creed Unity was not all that great in my opinion. How about this? It was not what it was advertised to be. There we go. Let's go with that.
I think it also had a lot of technical ambitions that it just was not able to meet. Just in terms of like, that was a game where you'd go into a room and it was filled with NPCs and then everything would just crash. So, and it's a better game nowadays than it was at launch. But I actually went back to it like 4 or 5 months ago. and I still couldn't get into it. So, I think the story is not very interesting, but I also feel like in terms of the controls, it's interesting because the animations of parkour are probably the nicest looking and like the smoothest of the series. That's in Assassin's Creed Unity. However, like sitting down and actually playing it, like even though it looks very smooth on screen, it feels really clunky. Like especially when using a controller for some reason. It's like I don't know. The parkour just did not work for me.
Mm. You know, so okay. Real quick aside before we get into this,
Yeah.
I feel Assassin's Creed, 1 through Brotherhood, kind of caught lightning in a bottle. It was a crazy idea that worked,
Yeah.
and then they didn't know what to do. It was kind of like I don't think that game was ever meant to be a continuing ongoing series, but it made a lot of money. It was lightning in the bottle, and then as the years went on, it just showed that you know I'm not trying to down Assassin's Creed as a whole. I'm just saying that.
Well, it went in a very different direction in the last few years.
Oh yeah,
That's for sure.
oh yeah,
The RPG mechanics. I mean, the interesting thing with this live service announcement for Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is the code name for the project, is it doesn't really sound to me like this is something fans even want. I mean, when you think of Assassin's Creed, you're not sitting there wishing, oh, I wish there was a live service Assassin's Creed game, as the next evolution for the series. I mean, it's been a predominantly single player experience. That's where they put their resources in. I'm not saying that who knows? There's very slim details in terms of what the live service model looks like and what it means. It might be similar to like the Sims series where it's still single player and you can just expect regular content drops. But yeah, it still sounds odd to me because apparently it's going to be like several different settings in one full experience or package. Whereas I think the fun of Assassin's Creed was just how deep it goes into a singular space and a singular location in history, and really lets you explore that fully. So I don't know. I have big hesitations about it.
Oh, I'm with you there. My thing is so it's kind of like how I felt about Google Stadia. On paper, everything this could be sounds great, but we're just not there yet. So
Hard to judge when we just have very little information to go with. I think
yeah,
there was a lot of chatter on like Twitter and other social medias of, oh, this means it's going to be an MMO or it's going to be a multiplayer game. And like, we have no idea, you know?
yeah,
The live service game is just a business model that makes a lot of money.
this is
Um,
true.
so,
All right,
yeah.
so all right, if you will with me, I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat back on.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go.
And so a common theme, I'm seeing online, and and this is just, pure speculation, people, pure speculation. If it's anything like, the online models of like, Brotherhood and things where you're gonna have like a fully realized world, and let's just say the technology's there with believable NPCs and all this stuff, and you throw however many people fit in a server match, however will you, and if you have people walking around fully realized old school European city wherever we happen to be, and you have missions, assassinations, and things, that does sound like a cool immersive experience if it all works. Keyword, if it
Yeah.
all works. And again, like you said, live service is just a model. So if we just
Yeah.
have an evolving world, so to speak, and people are populated doing Assassin's Creed things, it sounds really cool. But the other thing I wonder about, especially because what you said, what would you do exactly though? Because we don't have any little details. Like, would you be trying to assassinate other people, which then it just turns into like a run and gun fest, or are you just kind of exploring? Yeah, I don't know. It sounds
Oh,
ambitious.
if there is a multiplayer component to it, I do hope that they kind of go back to their roots of Assassin's Creed multiplayer. Like, I don't know if you played those earlier multiplayer experiences and like it was like in games like Brotherhood or Revelations or even in Black Flag, I think there was a multiplayer mode. Those were really, really fun where you had like different abilities. Like you could go and, poison someone. Like you with your hidden blade would be like dipped in poison. You could like go and sneak up on someone and poison them and then slowly watch them die. It's like it was very fun. Like I haven't really played any other multiplayer experience like it, where it was kind of this cat and mouse chase between players.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I enjoyed it too, and I don't know if that could work on like a full blown scale, but I guess we'll
Oh.
see. I don't. I mean, the information it was leaked, I believe, correctly, and then they made an official announcement. So maybe this is a bit premature for them.
Well,
And it,
it sounds like Ubisoft and Jason Schreier were in talks. So I don't think it was Jason completely leaking it. Like he's tweeted saying like, "Oh, he's like I've been talking to Ubisoft this whole time." So I don't think they rushed out a blog post or anything.
okay, but yeah, and even more interesting about this because as people have been saying with GTA 6, which is supposed to be take place back in Vice City, it's supposed to also be basically a live service game with an evolving real world map. However, that's gonna work. And do you think that's where we're going with games now? Like we're gonna start just seeing more and more titles, be in this forever on mode.
Probably, yeah. I mean, uh, like not for every franchise, but yeah, I think it's a like I said, it makes big bucks. And also it kind of secures more of a longevity for your franchise, where the same players get to grow with the product. And I think that in many ways that makes a lot of sense from a business model standpoint.
Yeah, because I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and I told him I feel completely like in 2 to 3 years, if we're not already there, every FPS will be a live service game, every single one.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I don't know if you can, like Halo already said, they'll have their multiplayer only, and then you can buy the story. And I'm like, is that what we're gonna end up doing? Where every like games are gonna be here's the free in quotations version live service, whatever you want to call it. And then if you want to actually have a story to your Assassin's Creed game, then yeah, buy this $40 pack and we'll throw a story in there for you to go play when you feel like it.
Yeah. I don't know. It remains to be seen, but I think that could absolutely be the direction for sure.
Yeah, and then it'll be interesting because there's always that talk that single player games are dead. It's all about multiplayer. Da-da-da-da-da. And now I'm like, I think now it's funny because it seems like traditional multiplayer games is the thing that's actually in reality dying. Not live service games are multiplayer games, of course, but it seems what we would consider back in the olden day of a multiplayer game really doesn't exist anymore. In that traditional sense, like in a it takes two sense, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I guess we've been heading this way for a while now, just slowly but surely. Because now, if I'm thinking about it, Journey could almost be a live service game, the way you interact with the world and the people.
Yeah, it really could. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, we're seeing Overwatch doing the same kind of thing too, where Overwatch and Overwatch 2 will have a lot of overlap when that sequel comes out.
Personal opinion here. I just think it's so strange that Overwatch is getting a sequel.
Ew. It's weird. It's absolutely it's a business decision. It's a way to bring players back. Despite, I think the general consensus there is that Overwatch does not need a sequel. Yeah, especially if Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 players are getting, pretty much the same content going forward.
Yeah, we live in interesting times. Gaming is evolving faster than we can keep up with. The second we get used to something, here's something else. Sup, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nintendo. Nintendo's always been tried and true to doing things the Nintendo way.
We do not expect OLED screen. Oh man.
I'm really starting to think that they see the rumors, they hear the rumors, and they're just like, you know what? Nah. Whatever gamers
We're
want.
gonna go to the beat of our own drum, and it doesn't matter. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You know what? I won't be surprised if Breath of the Wild 2 is not even a Zelda game at this point.
I mean, look, them going to the beat of their own drum has worked pretty well for them so far. So they're doing something right.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I always liken Nintendo to like an abusive relationship. They can do no wrong to me, and I will give them all my money.
God. Yeah. Oh gosh, totally.
Completely. But you know what? At least I want to thank you for joining me this week. We had fun on the on the Mass Effect / Everything Elise Does Not Like podcast.
All the things that I don't like inside of my favorite things.
Exactly. And to you Kaden stans out there, I just want to let you know you can follow her on Twitter and let her know. Let her know we will rise together, people. I saved him too.
Oh,
let us rise up for Kaden.
Are gonna be something else.
No, but I'm gonna go back and save Ashley because I really thought she was just I didn't save her because she was too much on that alien hate, and I'm from Texas, so I was like, you seem like people in Texas I don't like. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
not maliciously, but it was just like I have a choice here to save someone that's not you. But then someone told me she has like a great character arc and like becomes a better person. So I was like, oh, well, dang.
But still, yeah, no. Space racist is space racist.
We don't play that here on Earth, and we don't play it in space either.
Yeah.
Oh, God, could you imagine if one day, if the aliens came, we're like, what's up, humans? Oh, man, that...
that would be... You know what? Who knows, right? It might happen.
Hey, yeah, you never know. But at least real quick, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Elise Favis. That's ELISEFAVIS. You can also find my work at fanbyte.com.
Yay. Make sure you go check them out. She's doing amazing things over there. I mean, again, she's worked for a magazine, The Washington Post, in Washington, D.C. And as I said, she is gaming's second most famous Canadian, right behind Jeff Keighley. And I mean, I don't know. She could be number one and by
maybe I'll dethrone him. We'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna be like the Game Awards is gonna be like, I'm sorry, Keighley, we got a new Canadian now. Sorry.
We'll see.
We will see. But as always, people, if you enjoy the show, you can hit us up on Patreon at Full Circle Productions. And I want to thank the Patreons Gabriel Garcia, Rachel Coleman, Bake Rice, Ryan Frazier, Gabriel Cleveland. But you don't have to give money because you can like, share, subscribe for free 99, people. I mean, you're already listening. Just do it. Do it right now. Leave a 5-star review. I don't know. Google told me to say that in the email 2 weeks ago, so I'm saying it. I don't know why. They want me to succeed.
Yeah.
But as always, people, have a great week and be blessed. Bye.